Probably the most powerful of all modifiers is known as edit mesh. And that's what we're going to learn today is the edit mesh modifier kind of is that uniqueness factor. It's really the game changer. To begin understanding edit mesh, we're going to start with just a simple box. And I'll go into my edge faces mode. And if we were to kind of just stand back and look at this box here real quick, we need to ask ourselves, how many faces does this box have? And the answer is 6. Each side is represented as a face. And a face is typically the area that it kind of is enclosed by a joinment of vertices and segments. Now I come in here and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change my segments. Now I can ask you the same question again. How many faces does this box have? Notice now that each side of the box has 4 faces. So now what we have to do is multiply 4 by 6. So it has 24 faces. Now we could get even more complicated and how many edges does this have? Or how many vertices? When you select an object, you can go over to Modify, and in the modifier list you can hit E and you'll notice that you have Edit Mesh. Edit Mesh allows you to break an object down into various components. These components can be manipulated for uniqueness. The very first component is the vertex, or multiple vertices. When you select vertex, every point where lines merge, a little blue dot shows up. You can take your Move tool, select one of those blue dots or vertices, and you have the ability to move just that point in any direction. Now I'm going to Control Z that. You also have the ability to click and drag window around multiple vertices and manipulate them all together as a whole. Next are the edges. Edges are actually the line segments in between 2 vertices. So realistically, for every edge you get, you're going to have at least 2 vertices also moving. So this is a quicker way. Instead of doing 2 vertices, you can do 1 edge. Same concept. We can also select multiple edges and move those out to get different effects. Next is faces. What you're going to notice, a face is half a polygon. It has this invisible diagonal line, so it actually grabs 2 line segments plus an invisible third. Very similar to that is its counterpart polygon, which grabs the entire face on one side. I know that's kind of tricky because you got face and then you got polygon, which I'm saying is a face. And that's how Max lays this out. So we can grab multiple faces, move them, and all the originals will stay put. So how can we make this practical use? Well, Element just pretty much moves the whole thing, but to make this practical, we can do some additional things. We can go into our face mode, our polygon mode, and instead of moving this like I just did, we can go in and actually do an extrusion on one face. So if I come down here to the right, notice I have the extrude option. If I click, that will completely move that face out, adding new faces into the model. Again, hitting extrude, just the selected faces. Notice now that my box is no longer a 6-sided box. It is a complex shape. We can also bevel edges. So if you click here and bevel down, you'll notice here that as you extrude, you can kind of pull that out, and that puts a little taper on the edge. But you can accomplish that same effect by simply selecting one of the faces and using the scale tool. So move, rotate, and scale works for objects, but it also works for the different elements that you can have here. For instance, I'll take this wall, maybe I want to bevel that down like this. Now once you've gone into edit mesh mode, you're kind of stuck in edit mesh mode until you've actually turned off the component editing mode that you're in. Once all of these are, they don't have the yellow box around them, you're back in your traditional one object mode. And you would have to go back into edit mesh and into the component that you want to edit. That's a little introduction to edit mesh. There are far more ways. There are people that come out and say, okay, you know what, I want to split this face in half. So what we can do is go in, click that face, and then if you look down here, we have the cut option where I hit split. I can click, let's see, we'll go here, and cut across here, and click, and then I right click to close that, and I've just added another segment in there. So if I need to add more, I can do that. I can do that multiple times too. So where I got cut, I could go click, 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 right click, and oh, I missed a spot. But then we have multiple faces. So you can split those up depending on what you want to do with them. So you want to go back and extrude that. There you go. Then you might want to twist that. In addition to that, we can also select various parts. Give you an example here. Let's say I select this half of the box. I can apply a second modifier to this, such as, let's try something fun here. How about noise? And as I apply noise, it's only going to apply noise to the selected boxes, to the faces. Notice the noise modifier is not affecting these boxes over here because they weren't selected. Only the faces that were selected will take on that modifier. One problem with edit mesh is once you've started manipulating something with the edit mesh, if you return to the original box, it's going to give you a warning here. You cannot go back in and start changing segments. If I change this to 5, 5, and 5, the results may vary because it doesn't know what to do with all these new segments you put in there. They weren't originally selected, so how does Max know what to do with it? So your results will vary. There's really no way to do that other than to go back and rebuild the model from start, putting more segments in and kind of planning ahead of time. Another thing that you can do with edit mesh is attach it to other objects. So for instance, I'm going to go ahead and just drag another box out here. And notice that they're slightly overlapped, and you may say, yes, we can union Boolean those together. But in this case, I'm going to go ahead and select my sphere with edit mesh selected and scroll down. I'm going to find the word attach. Once you hit attach, you can click another box, and now what you're going to see is these two are unioned together. They're all one object. If I come out of my edit mesh mode, you'll notice that it now updates with the noise on there. Now I can also remove the noise and go back and apply noise to just a certain part of that model. So that concludes my little introduction to the edit mesh modifier. Again, it's very important that you kind of visualize what you're trying to seek, and then think of this as sort of like a digital sculpting technique where you have the ability to move each one of these objects or each one of these components at its own, creating something a little bit more unique. And again, using photographs and pictures and templates typically helps you out when you're trying to model something out, such as like a body. I could draw bring in a picture of a body and start creating the shape of that body with a box just by manipulating all these vertices. Okay, so that concludes our video. Good luck with the Edit Mesh modifier, and we'll see you in future tutorials.